Hey guys, it's Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. Today we're going to finish our look at Nightrain by tackling that monstrous outro solo here. So, I got a lot of requests for it. I just did the regular solo and all the riffs, and everybody's like, hey man, the outro solo is the funnest part of the song, so do that. So I'm going to finally get to this one. It's long, and it's got a lot of those little Slash-isms that, are kind of unrecreatable when he just kind of takes a little part of a scale and just kind of rips it through it a few times. Just kind of, he's not really doing anything succinct licks or anything. It's just kind of his style a lot of kind of blues-based hard rock guys do. But I'll show you good ways of kind of recreating those little licks and stuff, and I'll show you the exact notes he's playing at least. All right, so let's start here. We're still tuned down a half step. I'm gonna start with this first phrase. All right, so we're going to stop there. So we're going to start with a long bend here at the 3rd fret on the low E. So it gets a whole step up, and then we have this. So that's 5 on the low E, up to 3/5 on the A. Then you pick the 5 again and do a quick little bend and release. Pull off to 3. And then we're going to have a kind of hit 5 twice again, and a slight bend there on the 3rd fret. So all together. All right, and now we had that little melodic slide part, starting with the 2nd fret on the G. Kind of muted there a couple times, slide to the 5th fret. Back down to 2. Back to 5. Down to 4, up to 7, and end it with a slide down to 5. I'll do that one more time. Obviously I got some vibrato going on the notes there. And now I have a fast little picking part. We first start with a 1.5 bend at the 9th fret on the G string. So you want to bend that up till it sounds like the note of the 12th fret. Now we have kind of a lick that goes between triplets and 16th notes. We're going to first start with 7, 8, 9, 7, 8 on the B, 9 on the G. It's really heavily palm muted too. And then we have a quick little burst of 4 notes, 7, 8, 9. The 8, 9 is on the G, back to the 7 on the B, so we have this. All right, then we go back to a slower triplet, group of 3 here, so that's going to be 9, 8, 9 on the G. So we so far have this. Obviously, everything happens much quicker, but I'm just kind of slowing down. Then we're going to do a little play 8, and then hammer 7 to 8, pull off to 7 on the 5th string there. I'm sorry, on the G string, and then slide down to the 5th fret. So we have this. All right, and then we could just do just basically go to the 7 on the D string, and then just go straight down after you do a roll over to the G string, and then just go 7-5 and 7-5 on the D string there. Then we're going to go back and start the next phrase, which we're going to do that by playing 5 and 7 on the G string. So from this part right here, when we get to that 7th fret there, that's the start of the next phrase. So let me play that part real quick. All right, so you're going to want to speed that up, and then we're going to have this next phrase. All right, so right here we're going to be doing some bends here at the 7th fret on the G. So you do a bend, release it, and then play 5 on the G, and then do the bend at the 8th fret on the B. We have this. I'm going to do that again, but the first time you hit the 7, there's a little harmonic on them. Back to that 5, and when you do the bend to the 8th the second time through, you do the bend and grab the 8th fret on the high E with it. And then bend that 8th fret on the B again. All right, now the third time through, we start it the same way again. But when you do the bend on the 8th fret, a little pinch harmonic on there again. So if you don't know how to do pinch harmonics, I've got videos on it. Squealies or whatever people call them. So we're just means you're basically just hitting the flesh of your thumb with the pick at the same time over a harmonic note point. So you've got to find the right one. A lot of it's done by feel. I guarantee Slash is just doing it by feel. He's not like measuring where he's doing it. So all right, so from here, so after that bend here on the 8th fret, and then we have a 5 on the high E. And then we have 8-5 on the B. And that's a bend and release of the 7th on the G. Pull off to 5. And hit the 7th fret on the D a couple times. And then we're going to continue going down. That's 5 on the D. So after you hit it a couple times and kind of sustained it a little bit, you're going to go 5 on the D, then 7, 6, 5 on the A, down to 3, then play 5, 3. So we have this. Then back to the 5. You have a little bend and release there we did earlier, and over to the 3rd fret on the low E, a little slight bend there. So we have this. All right, so all together for that part. All right, now this next phrase starts with pinch harmonic. It sounds like this. All right, so we're gonna have kind of a hairy lick at the end of that, but we'll get to it. So we're gonna basically start here with the artificial harmonic. Now this is an obvious note that you're gonna want to hit. So that's that bend at the 7th fret on the G. Now on my guitar at least, that harmonic note point is right over this second, this magnet that's closest to the bridge, a strip of magnets on the neck pickup. So I just found that note on my guitar. You can find it on yours and really be able to get that harmonic precise. So let's hit the 7 again, down to 5 here. So, all right. So back into the bend there at the 8th fret. All right. So we have this. So we have this. So after you do that, you're going to do a quick little hammer on from 5 to 8 on the height. And then back to those bends at the 8th fret, a couple of them. 3 to be exact. Release to 5 on the B. Then you do a bend at the 10th fret, that's a step and a half. So you want it to sound like the 13th fret. So we have this. Alright, then you're going to play 8-10 on the high E, kind of staccato. And then you're going to do a bend at the 10th fret on the B again, but this time it's just a whole step. So you want it to sound like the 12th fret there. Down to 8, and then whole step bend at the 8th fret on the high E string. Then we have that lick that sounds kind of like this. Alright, so once again, this is one of those things where Slash is kind of doing his own thing here. So not as much as he is towards the end, but the lick is not as, just one of those bluesy things where he's just kind of going through this scale. So let's check out the scale first. So the notes he's using, just for completeness sake, 8-7-5 on the high E, 8-5 on the B, then 8-7-5 on the G. And then the bottom half, kind of the same thing that we ended the last section with. So with the little kind of blues scale there. All right, now the lick he's actually doing, he does 8-7-8. So you do 8-7-8 and then do a hammer, 7-8, pull off, back to 7, pull off to 5. So from that 5, you're going to pick the 8th fret on the B, then the 7 on the high E, and then back down to the 8 on the B. So all together. Then you can do another hammer-on pull from between 5 and 7. Then 8 on the B again, high E, 5, and then the bend there on the 8th fret. So it's one of those things that's kind of hard. All right, and then we're going to go back to the 5th fret on the high E, and then play that, and then 8-5 on the B. Another bend and release at the 7th fret on the G, pull off to 5. Then back to the 7 there on the D, then roll back to the 7th fret on the G. All right, then we're at the 5th fret on the G. And then just descend through the scale, 7, 5, 7, 6, 5, 3. So all together. So when you're down to the 3rd fret there, then we do the kind of same thing we did earlier. Bend and release, pull off of the 3rd fret. And then you come over to the 3rd fret on the low E and then do that really long bend. You're kind of just waiting for the music to catch up. Then we have the lick that we kind of started the solo with. Basically the same phrase we did at the beginning. And then out of that we have this. All right, so that's got some crazy stuff. Now this is a section here that there are a few definitive licks that he's doing, but a lot of it he's just kind of winging it. So he will never do this lick, this whole ascending thing. He will never do it the same way twice. It's just not possible. These things, this type of playing is really just kind of spontaneous. So I'm going to show you the notes of the scale he's playing and a couple of licks that you can really hear out of there. And this, then it's just about kind of recreating the vibe of it and kind of going through the sequence of notes, the same timing that he does. So you're going to slide. So after this, slide to the 8th fret on the A string, then 7 on the D string, then 10, then you're going to do a hammer 9 to 10, pull off to 9, and pull off to 7. All right, now this next lick he does a lot. We've already kind of seen it. It's 7 on the G, 10 on the D, and then 9 on the G, back to that 10. We did that earlier right here. So he's kind of doing that, and he does it a few times when he's ascending through the scale. So now is a good time to learn the actual scale. So we're actually going to go up. So you're starting. So let's learn these notes. We have, from there we're going to go 7, 9, 10, 12 on the G. And then 10, 12, 13 on the B, and the same on the high E. So he creates its entire lick after he gets to the G string just with those. Now what he does as he's ascending, he does that, and then he'll ascend to the 12th fret on the G, then he'll come back down. He actually does play this note, which is the same note that we did here, to the 12th fret on the D, and then goes back up. But every time he gets to a string, he comes back down to the last note on the previous string, and then goes back up. You see what I'm doing there? I'll kind of go through the whole. You see what I'm doing? I'm going all the way to the next high string, getting all 3 notes, coming back down, and getting the last note on the previous string, and then going back. So we just have. Now when he gets to this high string, he does that lick again that we did here. So we have this. When you get to that top note, then on the 13th fret on the high E, you're going to bend and release it a few times, and then we have this. All right, so from there, when we got to that, we did 13, 12, 13 on the high, and then you're just going to do this pull-off sequence where you're first hammering on 12 to 13 and then pulling off to all the notes. Then come back to the 12th fret there and let that ring a little bit. All right, now we go back to the melody notes, 10, 13, 12 on the high E. Then just going to straight pull off 13, 12, 10. Then pull off 10 to 12, 12 to 10, sorry. And slide that down to 8. So we're all together. All right, so from there, we're going to reach over and grab the 12th fret on the B, and then back to the 10 on the high E, then back to that 12. Now we're going to end this lick by going a hammer between 8 and 10, hammer pull between 8 and 10 on the high E, back to 12 on the B, back to the 8, half step bend on the 12th fret there, release it, hit it a couple times, down to the 10th fret. So let me do those notes really slow. When you get to the, finally get to the bend of the 13, which you can get to any way you want. Now you start doing it. All right, from there. All right, so those are licks, are melodic licks that you can actually, you know, identify and play like he does. So we're gonna start after this. Then what he does is a slight bend at the 13 on the B, then grab the 10th fret on the high E and do a quick pull up between 13 and 10 on the B string. Then slide into the 15th on the B and grab the 15, pick that on the high E, and then the 12 on the high E. Then the 15 twice on the high E. So we have this. All right. So that's a bend of the 15 on the B string. Release, pull off to 13, and then pick 15 real quick. Shift back to the 12th fret. Half step bend and release to 10, and then slide into 15 on the high E string. All right, and now we come to one of these licks that, once again, I'll show you the notes and show you the style of playing that he's doing there, but recreating all the notes it's just gonna be impossible because it's really one of those just kind of improvised deals. So we're gonna be all right, so after we did, we're gonna play 12 on the high E, then 16, 15, 14 on the B string, and then bend up that 15 on the B, and then we're gonna start playing the fast lick, which is 12, 15 on the high E, and then he's gonna use the notes here. We'll just go through these notes: 15, 13, 12 on the high E, same thing on the B, and then 14 on the G. So 7 notes. And what he's doing is just some legato. So it's just basically taking. Take your favorite legato licks, your favorite little blues bass licks, and that's what he's doing there. He's just kind of winging it. That's all it's going to be. And he ends the phrase. You time it to where these bends come in, which is an actual, you know, melody you can grasp, which is at the 15th fret bend in the B string. Grab 15 on the high E, and then the bend again at the 15. And then the last phrase, as it's fading out, and that's, you kind of make your own stuff up after that. So that's all you can really hear. That's a bend at the 20th fret, a few of them, on the B string. Release to 17 on the B, and then a step and a half bend, 1.5 step bend at the 20th fret on the high E. And then play 20, then 20, 19, 20 there, and then kind of it starts fading out, really hard to hear, but it's, once again, it's kind of the same style he was doing here. All right, so it's just basically taking up the notes 20, 19, 17, 20, 18, 17, and 19, 17. So those would be the notes you'd be playing with. All right, so you can do what you want to there. So with a lot of Slash solos, we run into this kind of stuff where he is playing definable notes and scales, but the licks themselves are not really defined. And it's intentional. It creates a more ambiguous sound about it. But when you see him play live, or when you see him, you know, ever play this part, you'll never see it the exact same way twice. And that's just the way he does it. It's just a combination of whatever's popping out of his fingers at the moment, but it is around those definable scale forms, so it fits within the key, and he knows how really his ear, I'm sure, is very well connected to his fingers, so he can really hear where he wants to go with the lick and go up or go down through the scale. And that's how you need to treat it, instead of trying to break every note down bit by bit, which won't really give you a lot of value, I think, in the long run when you want to create solos like this on your own. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.